Alright, back with another video. It's been a while since the last one. That's just because I've been sick recently, not important. Today we're building a desert-themed Allosaurus enclosure, themed behind a dried-up riverbed. This is going to be the start of a series of enclosures, starting with this one. And it's going to follow a whole dried-up river system, and hopefully by the end it'll look really cool. I'm starting here with just decorating this waterfall that begins the river. Trying to hide as much dirt as I can, make it look as natural as possible. Now I'm coming down into the actual enclosure to just hide the cliffs with more natural looking rocks, so it looks better. I mostly use the same rocks for most of it. I didn't start off with the exact shape I wanted for the enclosure, so I just kinda wing it. Right now I'm just terraforming, making it all look nice, getting it how I want it to be. I did just do this completely off the top of my head. I had no theme in mind. Well, I had a desert theme in mind, but I didn't know what I was doing. I'm still new to this. Here I realised the rocks didn't exactly line up, so I just lower the terrain a little bit, try and get it all flush and nice so it looks good. Get rid of all the terrain or the foliage for now. Here I'm playing around with the ramp tool for the first time to get a nice slope going instead of just a sheer drop off. I've never really used this tool before, so I didn't really know what I was doing here, but I think I managed to make it look decent. So now I'm starting to get the actual river in. Now I'm just getting the shape of the river, trying to make it look as dried up as possible. Here I'm using the sand texture tool, just kind of get the shape of it so you can see where the river once flowed, if that makes sense. Now I'm just doing what I did before with the waterfall, just on this one, just covering up as much dirt and rock as possible with the decorations, make it look as natural as possible. Because I really don't want to see that terrain underneath, I want to see these nice rocks. Here I'm just filling this in because there was a weird gap in the water and I didn't like that. I do kind of wish the water wasn't flowing as fast because it doesn't look as natural as I want it to be, but we'll work with what we've got. It is what it is. Now I'm moving on to sort of a raised viewing dome. Unfortunately, I can't get it as thin as I want it to be, so again, I work with what I've got. Trying to hide as much as the terrain underneath as I can, with rocks and whatnot. I think this is uploaded on the workshop if I remember right, so if you do want to use this for yourself, Should be there somewhere. Go looking. Or it might be in the description, I don't know if I've figured that out yet. I try and cover up as much as the actual dome as possible. I want it to look as natural as I can. So I covered the roof with this flat rock. I think it looks decent, but obviously it has no support, so now I need to put in the supports. In terms of functionality, it works, but the actual view from it isn't the best. This is the bit that I was originally going to use the same rock here for all the way around, but I decided to alternate it. Just make it look as nice as possible. I do wish I could get the base of this to be smaller, so you can actually see over the top of it and see right down, but unfortunately you can't. There might have been something else I could have done, but I'm not smart enough for that. Here I'm deciding I just wanted the top to look a bit less flat, so I'm just kind of placing random stuff, throwing stuff at a wall, see what sticks. I do like what I ended up doing in the end. Now I'm just doing some final touches, adding some basic foliage in, just split it up from the rocks. It's not a big detail, but I think it's important. Here I decide I actually want a rock arch connecting it to the rest of the park. So I use this one for the main support rock. The main idea here is that the dinosaurs will be able to walk through this arch. Here I struggled a little bit to find rocks that looked good. I was going to use this for the whole arch, but I ended up using it for just one half, because it was hard finding the right rocks for this to make it look good. If you enjoy these speed builds, make sure to leave a like, maybe even comment any ideas you want to see or any improvements I could make. I'm always open to new stuff. Feel free to subscribe as well. I do want to get back into content creation. Here I'm just filling in any gaps that I don't like. Instead of making it an entirely natural enclosure, I decided to make it a bit half and half, so I'll put this fence going round just to keep the dinosaurs in. I do end up putting a big rock in the corner just to split it up a little bit. Next I just put in the foliage. I do try and keep it a bit more barren around the river itself, just to make it obvious that it's supposed to be, you know, dried up. Now I'm just adding in a few rocks around the place just to break up the kind of, not flat texture, but just add a bit more. I'm also turning the collision off for a lot of the rocks to try and make sure that the dinosaurs can walk through the arch itself. Again, I'm just adding rocks here and there just to make it look nice and natural. Not too flat, but also open enough. Now I get to designing the viewing gallery. I decided to stick with the kind of natural rock theme, so I just kind of encase it in rocks as much as possible. It's not the prettiest thing, but I think it fits with the theme pretty well. I didn't spend too much time on this, just enough so it looks decent. I didn't have much of a plan for this, I'm just using random rocks, seeing what I like, messing around. That's most of how I like to build. I don't necessarily go into it with a massive plan. I usually go into it with a general theme of what I want, and then just wing it from there. I think that's the best way to do things. Here I can't really decide what door I want to use. One thing that's always annoyed us about that plain like black void door is that if you place it directly on a wall, you're just going to see the wall. I started doing this to kind of fill in that kind of steel beam going across the bottom. I do also realise that the rocks are poking through the back, which I initially don't really like. So I try and fix that, but I think I end up just kind of accepting it. Yeah, see, I've deleted most of it there. So I think I end up just kind of accepting that they poke through. I do try and minimise how much they poke through as much as I can. Now I'm just making sure the viewing dome's functional so guests can get to it. Just deciding where to put it. I think I end up putting it over here and then doing a dirt path. I do want this area to be kind of like a nice little walk-through park section. Because the path can't go over the water, I end up using my own custom Hyperloop station that's disguised as a Jurassic Park toilet. I built it so that I could use stuff like bridges and that guests can walk over things. Well, not actually walk over them things, but access parts without having to connect it with a path. And I didn't like the look of the Hyperloop, so I disguised it as a toilet. And I think it works pretty well. Here I do decide I want a baby roaming around, so I'm just quickly speedrunning a nest. I am just sticking with the theme here of the all-natural desert rock look. It's nothing too interesting. I just kind of go for a generic carnivore-style nest. I'm just playing around with different bones, seeing what fits, what doesn't. I don't know why, but I always like when there's a long tail or some sort of long curved bone kind of curving around the nest. I always think that looks really nice. I do also like when there's like bones half buried in the ground, especially skulls. I think that always looks good. And it's just a case of adding the finishing touches with foliage and just a little bit of decoration. Split it up from that rock theme with a bit of greenery. And then that's it. Onto the cinematic shots.